Remembering a Hollywood icon this morning, Debbie Reynolds dies just one day after her daughter Carrie Fisher's sudden death. We will look back at Reynolds' incredible legacy. And here with me this morning to break it all down, Fox Business Network's Dagen McDowell. Rhino Trading Partners Chief Strategist Michael Block is here, and National Review reporter Kat Timpf. Good to see all of you this morning. 3 hours flying by.
I want to give Nat Candido, who's our regular stage manager on this program, a shout out because in 11 months, starting at the end of January last year, he lost what is the equivalent of me in weight.
Wow, he looks amazing.
And he just had an epiphany. We were in the airport in Charleston after the Fox Business debate with the Republican candidates, and he had an epiphany, and he did it.
Wow.
He did it, and he looks like a new man.
Great job, Nat.
He looks on the outside
Nat.
like Nat is on the inside.
I love that.
Awesome.
That's great. That's a great shout out.
Love Nat.
We miss you, Nat. All right, to our top story this morning, tensions between the U.S. and Israel rising. Secretary of State John Kerry slamming Israel in his speech yesterday, but Prime Minister Netanyahu hit him back, saying he has evidence that the U.S. orchestrated this entire UN vote. Watch.
Regrettably, some seem to believe that the U.S. friendship means the U.S. must accept any policy, regardless of our own interests, our own positions, our own words, our own principles, even after urging again and again that the policy must change. Friends need to tell each other the hard truths.
We have it on absolutely incontestable evidence that the United States organized, advanced, and brought this resolution to the United Nations Security Council. We'll share that information with the incoming administration.
Joining us now is former National Security Council staffer and Fox News contributor Gillian Turner is here, and we're glad to have her. Good morning, Gillian.
Good morning.
All right, so what does this mean for U.S.-Israel relations going forward? Are they further in jeopardy?
Well, certainly from a PR perspective, there's been a lot of damage done this week. At the end of the day, I feel like this is sort of a war of words. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be out of office soon. President Obama will be out of office even sooner. And I think going forward, the focus is going to come back to how to achieve a negotiated settlement that leads to a two-state solution. I think a lot of critics of the Obama administration, Secretary Kerry this week, have lost sight a little bit of that. I understand that, Israel is a sacrosanct ally of the United States, and we're their primary protector in the region. But at the same time, at the end of the day, the United States needs to do what's in our core national interests, and also what's in the Israelis, and that remains the two-state solution. So I'm wary of people losing sight of that.
I'm still confused at this whole idea of the collusion and that the Obama administration is behind all of this and orchestrated all of this. Of course, the White House is vehemently denying that. But I've spoken to the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. as of last night. I spoke to Netanyahu's spokesperson earlier this week. They say they have this ironclad evidence. We're supposed to believe that. Why not turn it over? I don't get that. Why wait until Trump is in office? I mean,
I don't have the answer to that. If I was advising the Israelis, I would tell them to make that information public immediately, because right now their hands are tied. The Obama administration publicly warned them, the Israeli administration, many times over the past 2 years, that if they continued to push east with these illegal settlements, there was going to be a UN vote on the issue. This was not something that was kept from them. It was very public. So the idea that they were somehow blindsided by this, I don't buy it. I understand the upset, but at the same time, they had fair warning.
Hey, Gillian, getting past this whole event, and, I'm going to call it a fiasco. We can agree to disagree. I know it was talked about, warned, the reality is here it is. It's a bit of a mess here. What needs to happen for a two-state solution, to really emerge? Can Bibi and Abbas really be the two to help lead it? Is that possible? Or do we need to wait till there's a Rabin-type leader on the Israeli side and someone similarly moderate, not so embedded in the power structure, and for Palestine, like Abbas is like, what needs to happen here for that really to be viable? I
mean, there's no obvious or easy answer. This has been a multi-generational struggle for good reason. It's very hard. It's a very nuanced issue. I think ultimately, to kind of simplify everything at the risk of oversimplifying, what needs to happen is this kind of compromise on both sides. In my opinion, That means the Palestinians need to recognize Israel's right to exist and their national sovereignty unequivocally. On the Palestinian side, they need to stop with the violence and sometimes supporting acts of terrorism. And the Israelis are going to have to stop with the settlement expansion, at least halting it temporarily in order to give negotiations a chance. So that's kind of like the broad strokes what needs to happen in terms of like the leadership qualities we need. I have no answer. But we've tried everything. But
diplomacy under the Obama administration has been a joke, though. So the peace talks stopped in 2014. That was after the Palestinian Authority joined forces with Hamas in a unity government. Then Hamas, again, started another war with Israel after that. And we should point out that's the third such war since Israel vacated Gaza of all settlements in 2005.
So you rightly identified two major pushes by the Obama team to kind of get a Middle East peace process underway. Both failed. So, the hope going into a new Trump administration is that they're able to get parties to the negotiating table and push this through. My worry for a Trump administration is that all signs point to Donald Trump accommodating Israel's leadership at every turn. And I worry that that's not necessarily in our core long-term interest. I don't know that doing everything the Prime Minister of Israel wants us to do when he says he wants us to do it is necessarily going to serve us as well as we think it will.
But haven't we as a nation under President Obama accommodated Palestine and the Palestinian government? Well, listen, Palestine will not recognize any. It rejects Israel wholly to its right to exist as a Jewish state within borders, and that historically has been the stumbling block in any peace deal.
Correct. That's absolutely right.
So, but it was just that speech yesterday, Gillian.
Yeah.
Was John Kerry? If you read it, it didn't have the same. It had some of the same flavor, but he literally was standing there in the face of genocide in Syria and lecturing Israel about land.
I want to get to Russia, though, while you're here, Gillian, because it's good to have you here. The White House is expected to announce these retaliations against Russia for their alleged role in election hacking. As early as today, we could see something. Yesterday, Trump was asked if government information on Russia should be made public, and here's what he said.
Do you think any records on Russian intervention should be made public?
I think what they should do is do the best they can, figure it all out.
All right, so is this the right move?
It's the right move to retaliate, of course. What concerns me here is the kind of show and tell that's going on, meaning a good retaliatory move will be one that the American public doesn't know about, the Russian public doesn't know about, and the Russian government doesn't even realize until it's over. So what I don't agree with is this kind of, since the hacking allegations a few months ago, there's been this slow buildup of tension, and the president and the vice president saying, we're going to retaliate, we're going to take action, we're going to strike back. I don't understand why we're announcing and giving so much lead time to Russian cyber experts to kind of shore up all the defenses.
Because everything they do is political. Again, the timing of the veto of the resolution and that speech by John Kerry, why did it happen after the election if they'd been warning Israel? Because it's quite frankly, the administration would be called anti-Semitic by many Democrats who side with Israel if it had been done before the election, and that they worry about the optics of it all.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Absolutely a fair point. The only spot where I would push back, and I don't disagree with you, but I would add that the problem with the Prime Minister of Israel, the current Prime Minister of Israel, is that he has at every turn exploited America and gamed America's political system for his own personal advantage. He's really driven a wedge between the Israeli government and Democrats here in the United States. That's good for him and the rest of his tenure, but it's not good for the Israeli people in the long term. Never before has the issue of Israel, in my opinion, been so politicized here in the United States. That I don't agree with.
All right, Gillian Turner, good to have you here
Thanks,
in
Sandra.
person.
Thank
we
you.
don't always get to have you in person.
Great to be here.
All right, good to see you. All right, coming up, a daring rescue caught on camera off the coast of Florida. How crews tracked down 3 teens stranded on a capsized boat. And the Apple Watch watching out for you, the high-tech gadget's new tool to ensure you keep your New Year's resolution.